Good morning, and welcome to the California Wellness Foundation webinar on Advancing Wellness, our new grant-making program. My name is Maricela Cueva, and I'm with VPE to Digital Communications, a consultant of CalWellness. We are delighted to have over 500 participants joining us today. Before I introduce our speakers and begin the presentation, a few housekeeping notes. First, this webinar is being recorded, and the recording, slides, and transcripts of today's webinar will be posted at calwellness.org. Second, you can submit questions through the chat box in your webinar console at any time during the webinar. To open your chat box, click the chat bubble on the top right corner, and we will be answering your questions at the end of the presentation. Please be sure that your chat box is set to send questions to both the host and presenter. We don't want to miss it. Given that we have over 500 participants joining us today, if you have program or organization-specific questions, please contact us after the webinar. Unfortunately, we won't be able to answer all the questions. However, we will post a Q&A on our website based on the question posed during the webinar, so please check back. Third, we are going to keep all lines muted and request that you please submit questions via the chat function. Panelists, remember to keep your lines muted. We are not presenting. Lastly, if we don't get to your question, feel free to contact us afterwards. Staff email addresses are on our website. We will start things off with an overview of the strategic planning that informed our new direction. We will then present a summary about the 4 portfolios within Advancing Wellness. And we will give an introduction to our brand new CalWellness grant portal. We will then have a dedicated portion to answer your questions. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce our speakers today, Judy Belk, President and CEO of the California Wellness Foundation, Fatima Angeles, Vice President of Programs at the Foundation, and Amy Scop, the Director of Grants Management. I'd now like to introduce Judy Belk, CalWellness President and CEO.
Thank you, Marcella, and welcome, everyone. It is so wonderful to have so many of you joining us today. This is a day that we've been really preparing for some time. But before we get started, I'd like to extend to you greetings from our Foundation's Board of Directors. I know a few of them are actually joining us on this call. They have been terrific partners, both in terms of sharing their expertise and providing support to us to think big and bold. So I want to give a shout out to our amazing Board of Directors. And then I also want to acknowledge our staff that I know many of them are listening in Woodland Hills and in San Francisco. They have just worked so hard to get us to this point, and I'm really fortunate to have them as colleagues. You know, last week was actually my 6-month anniversary, and most of my time here at the Foundation has been to prepare for the launch announcement. I wish that I could have the opportunity to meet with each of you face-to-face, but we wanted to launch this webinar to provide the opportunity to share this information with as many of you as possible. And in the coming months, we intend to spread out across this great state of California to meet with you, to meet with as many of you face-to-face as we can. If you've been on our website, you know that we have road shows scheduled from Shasta to San Diego, where wellness staff members will be out meeting with members of the community to answer any questions. So I hope you'll come out and greet us. I hope you've had an opportunity to surf our redesigned website and read about our new grant-making priorities. These are changes that we don't take lightly. They were informed in part by your work, your expertise, your knowledge, and we see this as an evolution of this foundation's legacy. While there's much that's new, and we will touch on many of the new areas, there's important things that remain the same. First, we'd like to call the wellness approach. One, we remain committed to being responsive to requests from our partners. We believe that you, close to the ground, know best what's happening in your community, and we will continue to tap on that expertise. The other issue is that we will continue to prioritize core operating support. We know that you need critical resources to continue your efforts in advancing wellness. And third, we will continue to invest in resources in public policy. We only have to look at the passage of the historical Affordable Care Act to know that philanthropic resources alone cannot advance wellness. And of course, we want to continue our support for leadership in the nonprofit sector. We know that it's really you, many of you, every day working hard, sometimes with limited resources, with challenges, trying your best on a day-to-day basis to advance wellness, and we want to continue to provide you the opportunity to learn from each other, to take a sabbatical every now and then to re-energize. And we continue to want to applaud you for all that you do in advancing wellness. Second, we want to talk a little bit about embracing the social determinants of health. That is the lens in which we've approached our new advancing wellness. You know, as I do, that health and wellness is often impacted by external circumstances, where people live and work, their race, their place of employment or income can impact their health and wellness. So we've really tried to develop a strategy that's interconnected, that all of these issues are really important, grounded in research on the social determinants of health. We also have an opportunity fund that will continue to encourage innovation in the nonprofit and philanthropic sectors. We've got much to share. We are so excited. You know, one of the best decisions that I made in my first 6 months of the job was having the pleasure of appointing Fatima Angeles as Vice President of Programs. I know Fatima is well known throughout the community, and she's been a partner not only in the foundation but throughout the community in advancing wellness. She and her team have done an amazing job in getting us to this point of launching Advancing Wellness. So I want to give her the opportunity to dig in deep to inform you on the new legacy, the new chapter for CalWellness. Fatima?
Thanks so much, Judy. I really appreciate that. And thanks to everyone on the call for being here. We know that your time is important, and so we appreciate your time to be here with us. All right, let's do this. The first portfolio of Advancing Wellness that we'd like to share with you today is titled Bridging the Gaps in Access and Quality Care. We believe that all Californians, particularly those living in the state's most vulnerable communities, should have access to quality health care services. In this portfolio, we are focusing on 4 areas and an initiative opportunity. The first area is named Advancing Healthcare Reform in the Affordable Care Act. The passage of the ACA presented great opportunities for equitable health coverage, but we know that more needs to be done. Our funding works to ensure access to health coverage and access to health care for the remaining uninsured in California, including those not eligible because of immigration status. Funding also supports efforts that benefit vulnerable populations, such as those eligible for insurance assistance through health care reform. Our second area is strengthening community clinics and safety net partners. Community clinics and safety net partners operate on the front lines of health care for vulnerable populations. We aim to both sustain and improve the quality and breadth of services at community clinics and other safety net providers that serve vulnerable communities, and increase the number of underrepresented minorities employed at community clinics. Our third area under this portfolio is improving oral health care for low-income adults and seniors. We want to address the well-documented gaps in access to, coverage for, and quality of oral health care for low-income adults and seniors. The fourth area in this portfolio is increasing diversity in the health professions. A workforce that mirrors a diverse population of California increases access to care and improves quality of care. We seek to strengthen and develop pathways to healthcare sector jobs for underrepresented minorities in the health professions. And lastly, through a grant-making initiative, we will proactively support the provision of tailored prevention, primary care, health education, and outreach to women of color at risk for or living with HIV, AIDS, and other sexually transmitted infections. Our second portfolio is promoting healthy and safe neighborhoods. We believe that wellness is promoted when neighborhoods are economically and environmentally vital, socially connected, civically engaged, and safe. There are two issue areas targeted within this portfolio. The first is fostering healthy environments. A healthy environment includes clean air, water and healthy food, as well as access to safe and open spaces and recreational activities. We want to ensure that effective systems, infrastructure, and resources are in place to address environmental inequities and support healthy living in underserved, low-income communities. The second area in this portfolio is supporting violence prevention. Like many health issues that face neighborhoods across our state, the causes of violence, gun violence in particular, are complex. CalWellness seeks to minimize trauma and injury and fortify communities to be safe and healthy for all of its residents. Our third portfolio is expanding education and employment pathways. We know that education and employment are strong predictors of good health. Research indicates that a person's health improves as income level rises. Education is a pathway to better jobs, living wages, and greater opportunities for individuals to improve their health and wellness. Within this portfolio, there are two issue areas and initiative opportunity. The first issue area is increasing educational opportunities for resilient youth. Because the completion of post-secondary education goals greatly improves health outcomes, we are committed to charting a path to increasing access to resources, opportunities, and support for adolescents and young adults we term as resilient youth. We define resilient youth as young people ages 14 to 26 who are in or have exited the juvenile justice system, are current or former foster youth, have been or are currently homeless or runaways, or are pregnant and or parenting youth who are in these circumstances. Our second area under this portfolio is promoting employment and asset building opportunities. Health is supported by access to sufficient income and other resources through fair employment and appropriate government benefits, as well as the building and protection of financial assets. Our funding seeks to strengthen pathways to obtaining and retaining employment to improve health outcomes. In addition to our commitment to resilient youth, we seek to strengthen opportunities for military veterans and formerly incarcerated adults. Lastly, we are launching a grant-making initiative that will include a cohort of programs and policy efforts that improve the economic well-being of women exiting the criminal justice system and women who are formerly incarcerated. Last but not least is our Opportunity Fund. This was established to fund investments in organizational capacity building for advancing public policy and to promote innovative responses to emerging health needs and to learn about trends and issues in California that influence health. Within this portfolio, there are 3 issue areas. First is advancing public policy. Grant making in this area will complement our public policy efforts within our other portfolios to address issues from a systemic perspective. CalWellness seeks to support efforts focused on improving public policies and conditions for underserved Californians using a range of activities such as public policy education, advocacy, civic engagement, and analysis. Our second area under the Opportunity Fund is investing in capacity building. Capacity building enhances the effectiveness and impact of nonprofit leaders and organizations in the nonprofit and philanthropic sectors. We want to support institutions in these sectors to achieve organizational and financial stability, improve program quality, promote growth, and ultimately realize greater social impact. Our third area under the Opportunity Fund is promoting innovation. Promising pilot projects and innovative approaches have the potential to significantly improve the health of those most in need in our state. CalWellness seeks to respond to emerging health needs and learn about trends and issues in California that influence health. Most grants in this area are short-term, about 1 year in duration, and are set aside for projects that fall outside our other funding priorities. We support activities that address health and wellness in underserved communities using unique approaches and tools such as the arts, technology, data, multimedia communications, and partnerships. I would now like to introduce Amy Scop, our Director of Grants Management, who will give us a demonstration of our new online application process. Amy.
Thank you, Fatima, and welcome everyone. As was mentioned previously, we are still committed to being responsive to requests from you and the communities that we serve. With that, we once again are accepting letters of interest on an ongoing basis, and now you can apply for funding entirely online. We are very excited to share this with you. We're very excited to share the CalWellness Grants Portal. Through an extensive development and testing process and incorporating feedback from grantees and staff, we created a more streamlined letter of interest application. Once you go to the CalWellness website, you will see the How to Apply link on the top. Click on that link and you will be taken to the page that gives you more information about our application process, the eligibility criteria, and how to apply online. After reading through our guidelines, you can access the grants portal to begin your letter of interest application, also known as LOI, which is the starting point for our funding process. There are 3 pieces of information you need to know about the CalWellness Grants Portal. 1, how to create an account. 2, how to start a new LOI or letter of interest. And 3, how to return to your account. First, before applying, you need to create an account. Every organization new to the portal must create an account, even if you've received a grant from us before. To do so, click on the Start a New LOI button on the How to Apply page. This will take you to the CalWellness Grants Portal. Once in the portal, click on the Create a New Account under the email login. On the New Applicant page, type in the information requested and then click Continue. Your account has been created and you will receive an email confirmation shortly. Second, to start an LOI application, read through the funding eligibility. If your organization and request meet the criteria, select Yes, and it will take you to the rest of the LOI application. Once in the application, read through the letter of interest instructions. There is also an LOI application guide that you can download for more detailed step-by-step instructions. Let me briefly show you the LOI application. The first two sections are questions about the organization, such as organization name, address, primary contact for the LOI, current operating budget, and so forth. Under Request Details, you can select which grant-making program best reflects your request, as well as add the request amount, duration, and a brief summary of the request. Before submitting your LOI, you will also need to upload a 1 to 2 page request narrative. More details about what to include in the narrative is described on this page. You can also find more information in the LOI application guide. On this page, there is also a feedback section to add your suggestions for improving the online LOI application and grants portal. If you need to save and exit the LOI before submission, you must click on the Save and Finish Later button at the bottom of the page to ensure your information will be saved. I'll go over how to get back to this in just a bit. If you are ready to submit your LOI application, you can click on the Review and Submit button at the bottom of the page. You will be asked to review the information one more time before clicking on Submit. Once you submit your application, you will receive an email with your application information for your records. Within a few days of your online submission, you will receive a second email letting you know your LOI is under review. Each letter of interest submitted will be reviewed by a member of our program team. You will receive notification of the status of your request approximately 3 months from the date the email was sent. Lastly, I want to show you briefly how to return to your account. You will need to go back to our website and go to the How to Apply page. Click on Return to your account. It will take you again to the CalWellness Grants portal. Now that you already have an account, you will just need to type in your email login and password. The login will look the same as when you start a new LOI. However, once you log in, you will be directed to your CalWellness Grants portal account instead of the LOI application. Here you can access an in-progress or previously submitted application. You can also transfer the application or email a copy of it to someone else. More details about this process can be found in the LOI application guide on our website. So this is our new grants portal. We look forward to receiving your letters of interest and learning more about your organizations and programs. Should you have any questions, you can review the applying Q&As on the website or the LOI application guide. You can also call or email grants management and we'll be happy to help you.
Thank you, Amy. The new grants portal is very exciting. We see there's a few questions coming in through the chat. So we just want to remind everyone to, if you want to submit a question, please do so through the chat button by clicking the chat bubble in the top right corner. And please be sure to select the host and presenter option when submitting your questions. Given that we have over 500 participants joining us today, if you have program or organization-specific questions, please contact us after the webinar. While we're waiting for participants to submit more questions, let's start with the following question that we have here is, has the mission of CalWellness changed with the launch of this grant program?
Hi, this is Judy Belk, and I would say our mission has not changed in terms of our focus on promoting the health and wellness of underserved communities throughout the state. We are still a statewide funder. Our focus is on health and wellness, and our focus is continued to be on underserved populations. And as I mentioned before, what also has not changed is this foundation's legacy and focus on being a responsive grant maker, also a real commitment to understanding the importance of core support, and part of our tradition has been that 50% of our grant dollars are targeted for direct services, and that will continue. We view advancing wellness as really a continuation and an enhancement of our mission.
Great, thank you. What does CalWellness mean by the phrase social determinants of health?
Thank you for that question. This is Fatima Angeles. Our strategic planning was really informed by a number of things, including environmental scans, but also a review of our work in the past 14 years. And what we found was, we had been investing in changing and working on issues that focus on the social determinants of health. And so with advancing wellness, we are lifting up that priority. And for us, the social determinants of health is really just an assertion that health is more than just a personal pursuit, and it is often impacted by external circumstances that create obstacles to achieving a healthy life. Simply put, where people live and work, their race or ethnicity, and their income can impact their health and wellness. And so our desire is to help in some way level the playing field so that everyone has access to good paying jobs, safe neighborhoods, and quality health care services.
Thank you. Our next question is, will you consider multi-year grants?
Yes, we will. Again, this is Fatima. We have always valued multi-year support. We believe that providing multi-year grants, in addition to providing core support, allows organizations to plan better and to build strength and some level of sustainability. So we will continue to provide multi-year grants.
Great. Our next question, if there is a better fit initiative, if there is a better initiative fit for the LOI than what was first selected, will you reassign to a better initiative?
Yes.
This is Amy.
Go ahead, Amy.
Okay. We do have a process in place for when you select a program area or portfolio to review your letter of interest. If a program director reviews it and decides, this might fit with another area, yes, the program director will ask their fellow colleague to review it as well. Great.
Our next question, are there deadlines when submitting these requests?
Thank you for that question. We have an ongoing LOI application process. We do not have any deadlines when LOIs need to be submitted by.
Great, thank you. Our next question, is the Opportunity Fund short-term only?
Hi, this is Fatima. Thank you for that question. No, it's not short-term only, although we want the Opportunity Fund to be responsive, and we're going to try and make it to respond as quickly as we can. So we are really looking, most of the grants under the Opportunity Fund will most likely be, especially around the promoting innovation piece, one-year grants. But we will certainly consider multi-year grants for efforts such as, building the capacity of both the philanthropic and nonprofit sectors, as well as individual organizations. It depends on the project, but we really want to encourage folks to send us new, exciting ideas that we can learn from and that we can help share our lessons with.
Okay, our next question is, can an organization apply for funding under more than one program?
This is Amy again. While you can apply for more than one, it's not very likely that they would be considered for funding at the same time. So we encourage you to apply for one at a time.
Great, thank you. What does CalWellness mean by the phrase health equity?
Hi, thanks for that. This is Fatima again. You know, when we think about the social determinants of health, we really are talking about health equity. And so during our strategic planning process, we look to the Center for Disease Control, we look to the World Health Organization to help us ground our thinking around the social determinants of health and health equity. And for us, what we were thinking about, what was in the front of our minds as we developed Advancing Wellness, was that health equity to us means that every person has the opportunity to achieve optimal health regardless of his or her race or ethnicity, education level, gender identity, sexual orientation, employment, level of income, where they live, or the level of disability. And so, you know, sort of that's how we view health equity, and it's very much related to the social determinants of health, and we use that as a foundation for the development of the strategies that you see before you in Advancing Wellness.
Great, thank you, Fatima. Our next question is, do you need to select one of your focus areas, or can several be selected?
When you apply online, you'll see that there is a drop-down menu of all the program portfolios and then the program areas within. You will only be able to select one, but again, as we mentioned earlier, and as part of our being, you know, our efforts in being most responsive to our applicants and what Judy called the wellness approach, if your request is reviewed by one program director and they believe that the request might fit better in another program area, they will definitely share that request with them, with their fellow program director, for your request to be reviewed again.
Thank you, Amy. Our next question is it possible to apply for one large grant that covers multiple areas?
You know, in the past we didn't do that often, but this is Fatima. Hi, everybody. We are open to what you present. So again, we don't normally do that. You know, as most foundations, we have limited funds. But if you feel strongly that you are unable to select a particular program area, and that you feel strongly that a comprehensive request is what you need, then send it to us. We'll definitely review it and have a conversation with you if we feel like it merits funding.
Great, thank you, Fatima. Our next question is, will current grantees be requested to submit grant reports online?
That's a great question. The current grantees that receive grants during our responsive grant making program that is, you know, about to sunset will continue to report the way that they have been. New grantees going forward with our Advancing Wellness program, as they create their accounts online, they will receive their reports online, and they will then be able to submit them online as well.
Okay, great. Thank you, Amy. Our next question is, how would grantees or individuals submitting a grant know that they will be invited to submit a full proposal? How do we know?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
This is Amy again. As part of our process, once we receive an LOI, the LOI is reviewed by program staff, and they will take a look at your request, and Fatima can talk a little bit more about this, but once the program director decides that they want to move the request forward for board review, they will receive another notification from the foundation asking them to submit a full proposal, and that full proposal will be submitted online as well.
Great.
Hi, this is Judy. Fatima, it might be helpful to talk a little bit about what happens in the program area when your team gets a proposal. I've been just so impressed with the TLC that your team really uses in making a decision, because obviously we cannot fund every LOI that comes in, but it might be helpful to just demystify the process, because it's a very thoughtful process on this end.
Thanks. I'm happy to do that. You know, and I totally understand, you know, when you submit something, you sort of wonder what happens once it's submitted. So thank you for that question. I want to reassure everyone on the call that every request that is submitted through our online portal gets reviewed, read, vetted. We did that with our previous process where people mailed in their request. We do that with the online portal. So every request gets reviewed by one of our 6 grant makers on staff. When, if the program director gives it, yes, I'm interested, we want to take a look at it even more closely, as Amy mentioned, we will send you an email request asking you to submit a full proposal online, and you will receive guidelines for what we need to see in that proposal packet, and you'll be able to type it in, attach information, everything that you want and to communicate to us. You'll be able to do that through the online portal. Once we receive it, we review every single proposal that comes through, including the attachments that are submitted. We then set up a site visit with the applicant. We go out, meet with the organization representatives at their place of work. So we fly everywhere. Southwest Airlines is our best friend. And we want to see where you are. We want to meet the people you work with. And we want to understand the issues you're working on, how you're doing the work, why you're doing the work. And of course, we're also there so that you understand what we do at the foundation, and we want to make sure that we are available and we leave time during that site visit to answer any questions you may have. We then take all of that information back. Our program directors take a look at what they have in front of them, and from the pool of proposals, make a set of recommendations to Judy, our CEO, and to me about the proposals that the applications that they want to recommend to our board for approval. And it's a back and forth. It is measuring the strategies that we have set in place and see where the applications fit in. And then we have a robust conversation with the grant makers, both Judy and I do, before we present it to our board for their consideration.
Hi, this is Judy. Thanks, Fatima. I just want to add that, you know, we are continuing looking at ways that we can continue to enhance our review process, and that will be a major focus in the coming years. The launch of the grants portal is one example of our customer service initiative, as we do think of our community partners as our customers. We're hoping that this will be a more efficient, will save you time, will save us time on this end. But during the next couple of years, next year really, we will be looking at our entire process with the goal of continuing to do good due diligence, to continue to demystify the process for you, and to continue to get you the answers you want. And for those who are approved for grants to actually get the checks faster too. But that's a major goal, and we're really committed to taking a look at that process. And the board has indicated that they too want to be partners in how can we continue to maintain our high level of due diligence, but also be more responsive to the community. So stay tuned on that.
Thank you, Judy and Fatima. That's great. We have a question. Can an organization outside of California apply as long as the work is focused in California?
Yes, they can, but we want to emphasize that the focus of the work, the beneficiaries of the work, have to be the people of California.
Great, thank you. Our next question, can multiple accounts be created for one organization?
This is Amy. There's really no need for one organization to have multiple accounts. So if an organization feels for some reason that they should, I think having a conversation, giving us a call to discuss that would be appropriate.
Okay, great. Thank you, Amy. Our next question, are you funding mental health services and substance abuse treatments?
Those two important issues are not priorities of advancing wellness, and it wasn't a strong priority for us in the past either. Having said that, our particular portfolio around education with resilient youth, we take a look at mental health services for resilient youth as we define them to help them succeed in their educational and technical sort of goals, professional goals. So we are looking to help support, for example, supportive housing programs for current foster youth and former foster youth so that they can feel supported as they get through school. And that level of support can include group counseling, individual counseling, but again, with the goal of helping lift that young person and carry that young person through the post-secondary education process.
Thank you. Do you give priority to old grantees?
No. Although, of course, we value our previous grantees and our current grantees. And when I say no, I mean that it does not hurt you or help you that you've gotten a grant from the California Wellness Foundation before. So we treat every application as a new application because we are a responsive grant maker, and that the majority of the ideas that we support come from over the transom. So we do not prioritize previous grantees before, but we are happy, always happy to see them come through our door again and again.
Great, thank you, Fatima. Do you plan to give more funding in certain areas in comparison to others?
You know, if you take a look at the way our portfolios are set up, you'll notice that under our first portfolio, Bridging the Gaps to Access and Quality Care, there are more programs underneath that particular portfolio. And it's because that's sort of where we felt the need was in terms of what this foundation wants to move into. And so that particular portfolio will have more dollars assigned to it than the other three.
Okay, great, thank you. Our next question is, can only existing grantees be allowed to make organizational development requests, or can new applicants request that as well?
New applicants can request that as well.
Great, thank you. When you're filling out, our next question is regarding the application process. Do you need fiscal sponsors information when you apply?
Thank you again for asking that question. When you're applying, and if you're an organization that works with a fiscal sponsor, the information at the LOI stage that is needed is from your organization and not from the fiscal sponsor entity. If at the time that a proposal is warranted and a program director requests that, we will gather additional information at that point.
Thank you. Our next question is in regards to capital for the Opportunity Fund. So would capital grants be considered under the Opportunity Fund?
If capital grants mean funding for brick and mortar building of facilities, the answer is no.
Thank you. Will you consider proposals from collaboratives?
Absolutely.
And our next question is, do you fund policy efforts focused on one specific city or county?
We can. We certainly can, and we certainly have. Again, we want to support efforts that are put forth by grant-seeking organizations, and if that is the focus of their policy work, we can certainly support that. Again, it has to be in alignment with our priorities, of course.
Okay, great, thank you. And how will CalWellness measure success?
In addition to developing the strategies under Advancing Wellness, a parallel effort was developed which resulted in an evaluation framework that is meant to go along with Advancing Wellness. And this evaluation framework not only will allow us to measure our progress towards our goals, but it allows us to take a look at short-term and mid-term indicators that can help inform us whether or not to adjust strategies or change bits and pieces of it so that we can better map out our way to achieving our goals under the portfolios.
Great, thank you. We have another question. Thank you so much, everyone. We're trying to go through all the questions. So our next one here is there a maximum or a minimum grant size in different areas? No, there isn't, although I will encourage applicants to take a look at our past grant amounts. We're sort of moving as we learn, we're moving as we learn, or as we move, it is informed by what we see over the transom. But right now, we are anticipating that our grant size are relatively close to the grant size that we had been making in past years. Thank you. Our next question is, can you apply even if active grants are in place?
This is Amy, and yes, you can apply even if you have an active grant. Fatima, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure. Part of, I think, and I think this is something that every organization has to figure out, you want to be able to plan for when you receive new grants, when you apply new grants, so that your programs and your services will continue. So certainly if you have an existing grant, you know when it's going to end, you'd like to continue the work. So you want to submit a request about 6 months before your existing grant ends, if you are trying to plan to not have a gap in funding for the work that your organization is doing. Having said that, I want to go back to my earlier statement that, you will be applying and we will look at it as an application just much like any other applicant. And so whether you're a grantee, a current grantee, a former grantee, or a new grant seeker to the California Wellness Foundation, we will review your application in the same manner.
Thank you. Our next question is, will you consider matching grants?
We can certainly consider that. However, and it's always great if folks can use our existing grant dollars to leverage additional funds for their work from other foundations or from other governmental entities. But I will say that sometimes the matching process from other institutions are not in alignment with our timeline. So it makes it very difficult for us to move in a time frame that is for another institution. So in the cases where they do align, absolutely, definitely use our dollars to leverage other funds, but it is often very difficult to align timelines.
Great. We have another question. What is the mistake you see in LOIs?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
What is the most common mistake you see in LOIs?
I would say that the most common mistake, they're all, I wouldn't say mistake, but I think a missed opportunity is applying when you haven't read or understood clearly the goals and priorities of the foundation. And that's the truth for any grant-making organization, not just this foundation. We know that it takes, even though our process we feel is as streamlined as we can make it, our LOI process, it does still take time to fill out and to make sure that every, field is completed. So before you do that, I encourage you to take a look at our website, read the guidelines, read the goals, and see if your work aligns with our priorities.
Great, thank you. Our next question, and this is our last question, will you consider capital improvement grants for major capacity building projects that overhaul technology infrastructure to expand data collection capabilities or capacities?
I think that would require, that's a difficult question to answer immediately. I think we would have to review the letter and see what the dollar is going to be used for. We certainly understand the need for improved technology capacity, and so we'll definitely take a look at that. When most of the time when we get capital requests, it's to help fundraise for the development, for the building of a building, and we tend not to do that. But supporting and expanding the expansion of technology and other innovations within an organization, we can certainly review.
Great, thank you. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. In the coming days, a recording of this webinar will be available on calwellness.org. If your question was not answered during the course of the webinar and you'd like to contact a member of the CalWellness staff, feel free to call the main line at 818-702-1900. Also, staff email addresses are now on our website as well. And before we close, I wanted to have Judy, who has a few closing remarks.
Hello, thank you, Marcella. I really just wanted to thank all of you who've participated in the webinar. In a way, you've been part of a historical milestone. This is the first webinar that the Foundation has hosted. We'd love to hear from you if you have felt that it's been a productive way for us to communicate. We are constantly looking at a variety of ways to get the word out, to reach folks throughout the state. One of the things that I've learned in my 6 months, this is a pretty big state, and we want to use all of the tools in our toolkit, communications toolkit, to reach out to you. So thank you so much. Just by the thoughtfulness in your questions, it's clear that as we move into this new chapter that we're going to be learning together, learning while giving, and we'll continue to reach out to you in the days ahead. I also want to just thank folks who have been really important partners in today's webinar. These things don't happen by themselves. I especially want to thank our IT department, our communications staff, VPE Communications, Marcella and her team, and our program and grants management staff. They, along with our finance team and others, in the foundation, we're really working hard to support your work. And finally, on behalf of the board and the staff, we want to thank you for your patience over the last year to give us the opportunity to pause for a moment to really think about how we together can launch Advancing Wellness. Thank you so much.